Hello. Oh, I did not see you there. Well, this evening, tonight, I'm going to be sharing with y'all some stories from my travels. The first story is about a person who helped one of his best friends make something wonderful. So there was a hermit who lived in the woods. Every day he'd pretty much chop himself trees and make himself a fire and eat stuff. When he figured out that his friend moved in the same area he did, he decided to head to him. When he made it over there, he saw that he is already starting to build his own village over here, so he decided to go see his friend inside. When he first came here, he figured out that the place was called Terrytown, and then decided to go see his good friend Hudson. When he went there and said hi to him, they had a good time talking to each other. His friend Hudson said that he needed help collecting wood, so the hermit agreed to helping him. When the hermit saw his friend, he agreed to help him gather a lot of wood. So then he started giving him all the wood that he needed. He had given him the wood, and his friend said, we need some more assistance on the job. So the lumberjack went to the job. When the hermit arrived back to the town, it had already become nightfall, but he was able to get the assistants to help clear up some more rocks, and thus they were able to build another house. But now he needed even more wood. He needed even more assistance next, so the hermit knew where to get some friends to come help him. When he got back to the town, there was a bit of a drizzle, but he had still continued onwards to helping his friend. Once he was back over there, he saw that they added another house, and he was going to give him even more wood to help finish the town. He needed some more assistance with building the town up, so he knew just where to go. When he got back there, it seemed even more complete than it normally was. That's how he knew he was making a lot of progress in this. He continued to give his friend more wood so they could finish up the town. He needed even more assistance with the town, so he knew just where to get some help. When he arrived there, the town was officially complete, and it looked beautiful. Now he's going to go talk to his friend now that the entire town has been built. When he got to his friend, he thanked him for all that he had done, and the hermit left back to the woods. On his way over there, he saw how much of a good town this place had become, and how beautiful it looked. There were lots of flowers, trees, and homes, and the place felt really complete. And thus, he traveled in the distance. The end. You know, there's a good meaning behind this story. Sometimes it's better to just help people out when they need it, because sometimes it could be nice to just see how people can go and how nice it is to help people. This next story is about a bokoblin who was looking for the right gift for his best friend. So this boko enjoyed hanging out with his friends by the fire. They did all sorts of stuff usually, like getting a lot of food and mainly attacking people that had come to their camp, as they prefer to stay on their land and keep people off of it. This one bucko, though, had set out on a journey to find his friend a perfect Christmas present. He knew his friend liked shiny things, so he went looking for some stuff. He had found some stuff along the way, like some strange mushrooms and old guardian parts. He started traveling on the road because he kind of knew of an area where he could find something, but he wasn't that sure. On the road there, of course, he picked up lots and lots of different things that he could use. So far, he had just found some mushrooms and a guardian part, but none of those things really his friend wouldn't really like any of those things, so he kept looking. In the middle of the woods, he found a beehive. When he got close to it, the bee stung him once and then started chasing him. He started running off away from the bees, as buckos don't really like them to be. But as he was running away, he continued to walk around. He saw different neighboring enemy camps, although they did kind of seem abandoned. When the bucko had arrived, he found one of his friends just kind of in the area. It wasn't his friend at the camp though, it was more like one of those friends that lived in a different area. He had talked to him and asked him if he knew where to find anything shiny, and he had told him up in the mountain area. So then he started heading there himself. On the way there, he found a goat which he hunted and defeated it, just in case he had to find food for the night. On his way there, he saw a strange moblin, although it's strange to him due to him mostly seeing buckos. Immediately on impact, the moblin started trying to attack him, so then he started running away. On his way there, he found some stones, but they didn't seem that shiny enough for his friend, so he continued on with his journey. When he got to the top of the hill, he saw another moblin, and it immediately started trying to attack him. Looking down, he also got knocked off the cliff. He knew he was in trouble when there were a bunch of enemies around him. There were also bats and stuff like that following him, so he knew he had to run away. When he went down there, he saw that moblin was back and it was there, and there were a bunch of shining stones around him. He had no choice but to fight the moblin. There were also a few bats assisting him, so it made it a bit more difficult to fight him. Surely enough, he was defeated and he dropped his stick, which then the bucko grabbed and used to defeat the bats. Now that he was here, he did what he would mainly do, and he got his better weapon out and started going away at those rocks. Although it took a while for him to mine them due to it just being a giant stick. He kept mining away at it. When he didn't have anything else, he used the stick that he found from that moblin and broke another one. But he knew if there were any more enemies on the way there, he'd have to use that stick that he found, even though it's practically broken already. And thus he started his journey back home. On his way there, he saw a giant blood moon rising up. On his way there, he knew he had to get there really quickly, so he hopped on his shield and started heading down. He came down here and then stopped shield surfing because he knew that his shield would break and he'd go flying into the water. It's more dangerous for him since bokoblins can't swim. On the middle of his way there, it suddenly started raining and he knew he had to get home quickly. So he started heading off in the direction he had come from, but now he knew where to go to get back home. On his way home, he hunted some animals and started collecting some mushrooms and stuff, so that way they could have a feast when he arrived. He found a strange blue mushroom, which he decided to pick up. Same for some other stuff. He also found some glowing snails in the water, which he wanted to pick up. There was a cabin right there, but he didn't want to go inside. There he had seen those bees that attacked him from earlier, which then he immediately swatted those bees away and collected the beehive. It seemed that he had enough food now, so he's going to head back home. It was now morning, and he found some of his friends that were scouting out in the field. He had said hi to them, and that he was going to head back to the main base. They let him through, of course, as he's one of them. He could see his friend's home and also his home just right in front of him, so he started running over. They were all surprised to see him when he got back. He gave him his friends his present, and they really enjoyed it. After that, they went to the fire, and he started preparing them a meal. He placed down all the food on the ground, and everybody enjoyed eating some. They all had a great time eating. They all had a good time hanging out with each other, eating, and giving each other presents. The end. You know, like last time, there's a good meaning behind this story. Sometimes it's better to just give without worrying about getting stuff back. It's better to give than receive. This next story is about a boy who is going to his family on Christmas. There was once a boy who lived in his house. His parents lived a bit farther away from him. One day, when he had gotten the mail, he found a letter from his parents saying that they wanted to meet up with him for Christmas at their house. When he heard this news instantly, he immediately got his sword and shield just in case there were enemies on the road, and he started to head out. He first went to his stable out back to go get his horse, and thus he started his journey to get there. And thus he could see the village gate, so then he started heading out. Once they got on the main road, his horse started running. On his way there, he saw a bunch of bokoblins. Of course they were trying to attack him, but he just kept going. On his way there, he passed through many different places, such as canyons and a little forest up ahead. When he was at the forest, he looked around and everything seemed to be picked over already, like if some enemies came around here and took some of the mushrooms and a beehive. Then he traveled through an old ruined field with lots of guardians. On his way there, he saw an enemy camp full of monsters just dancing around the fire. He then saw his first destination and rest stop. So he started heading there quickly. On the way there, one of those old Guardian machines started powering up again and started targeting him. He immediately ran as fast as he could with his horse, trying to escape it. He had nearly gotten hit, and he was almost there. When he was finally there, he took a little rest stop. Once it became morning again, he continued to set off. He traveled through the Dueling Peak stable, across the main Dueling Peaks, all the way to the Wetland stable, and then he traveled upwards to the Woodland stable. After that, he headed to the Foothill stable, and then all the way to the Salpacala stable. When he got to the Salpacala stable, he immediately rushed by, as he knew his parents' home wasn't too far from here. On his way there, he found some beautiful woods with orange leaves. On his way there, he just took a nice minute to admire the view. He looked around and saw something happening in the woods. It was a person getting attacked. So he hopped off his horse and immediately came behind the enemy and defeated it. After he helped her, he continued to head onwards to his home, which he could now see it all the way from here. He looked through a telescope and saw that his home was directly forward from there. So he continued his journey and ran all the way through the forest. The field was nice, but there were lots of monsters, so he had to be careful. He had then saw the giant horse on the top of the stable, and he knew that he was close by. He continued to run on over, seeing a little forest in front of him. He crossed through and made it to the stable, and he knew that his parents' home was literally right above that hill. So he just continued to head on over. He knew there was a guardian enemy right in front of him, so he knew he'd have to deal with that. He knew his journey led up all to this very moment, so he continued to head there. On his way over, that guardian that was there noticed him and immediately started targeting him. He continued to run away, hoping that the guardian wouldn't shoot him. The guardian nearly shot the house, but then he was able to escape. When he got inside, he only saw his father's ancient oven. When he saw it, it seemed to look a bit strange. When he looked at it, they came to the door. When he got there, he was happy to see them, and they were also happy to see him. And they had a good time spending Christmas together. The end. You know, there's another good meaning behind that story. Christmas is always just better spent with your friends and family. Well, unfortunately, that's all the stories I have to share with you today. I wish you a Merry Christmas, and God bless you. Goodbye.